Invasion Season 5 confirmed that MK95 exists in the post-aftermath MK Multiverse, along with MK vs DC Universe. So I started thinking, with how this multiverse works, someone acquires the Hourglass and uses it to forge their own spin on the MK universe. Who created each of these realities? I'll largely be piecing it together based on who is absent from that version, and whose history and relationships could inform the unique events and dynamics therein. So we can identify New Era Raiden, Titan Raiden, Raiden from DCU, Christopher Lambert Raiden from MK95, Kid Thunder, Raiden from MK2 or perhaps Shaolin Monks, MK1 Vengeful God Raiden, and this one with blue pants that I can only assume is Raycon, the sponsor of today's video. I just cannot be stopped. I'm the kind of person who likes to listen to something while I do other things, like playing a game or editing a video. Podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, I need constant stimulation or I'm left with the voices. So Raycon's everyday earbuds are a perfect fit for my lifestyle. First off, battery life. Whether by cable or wireless charging, these bad boys will run for 32 hours on full charge. That's enough time to watch all of my Mortal Kombat critiques almost 4 times over, or every NetherRealm critique thrice over with 2 hours to spare.
That is crazy.
I know, Vast Far Cry. That is crazy, isn't it? But you know what's crazier? Active noise cancellation, so you can focus only on my voice. Let all of the sounds fade away. You want to relax, to get comfortable. As comfortable as I am with these in my ears. There are several features designed to keep your listening experience as simple as possible. We have multi-point connectivity for seamless switching between devices without all that disconnect-reconnect rigmarole. The buttonless touch controls may take some getting used to, but it gives you a lot of options for tweaking your listening experience. They're also dust-proof and water-resistant, which pairs really well with my personal choice of colours. There are several options, and I chose royal blue with a blue water case. I think it looks really pretty and stands out from other wireless earbuds I've used. The set comes with additional gel tips to help best fit your ears because some people have a hard time finding ones that fit, you know? And even if you can't get them to fit, or if you have any other issues that end up being deal breakers, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee and free returns, so there's zero risk giving them a go. And should you choose to keep them, you'll have saved 20% in their site-wide sale that's on right now. Just go to buyraycon.com/4snake or click the link in the description and get yourself your own pair. Trust me, you're going to want the best audio quality possible to fully understand the intricacies of who exactly created every single timeline in Mortal Kombat history. See, I'm even finding clever ways to segue out of ad segments now. Acknowledge me! First, the Threshold timeline consisting of MK95, Annihilation, Conquest, and arguably Federation of Martial Arts. I assert that this timeline was forged by Kung Lao. There are 2 main factors here. First, Kung Lao's absence and his narrative being merged into Liu Kang's, fueled by revenge descended from the great Kung Lao, and even Kung Jin's with the move to America that distanced him from his bloodline. Second, the extra adventures for the great Kung Lao, the Titan's honoured ancestor, in MK Conquest. I posit that Kung Lao crafted a timeline where his ancestor would be the hero of Earthrealm forever, like in his MK11 ending, but Shao Kahn broke the rules and had GKL killed. The Threshold website timeline asserted that the Elder Gods intervened and rewound time to undo Shao's actions. Since that was only stated outside of the official media, there's nothing to dispute the possibility that it was Titan Kung Lao who rewound the timeline. Then he completed his character arc and acknowledged Liu Kang as the hero of the realms and let his hopes rest on him, eventually bearing fruit as his defeat of Shao Kahn resulted in everlasting peace. Even the way the Elder Gods are depicted here is explained by this, as Kung Lao is known to have no respect or faith in the Elder Gods in MK11, so he replaces them with people he does trust like Master Wen and Madame Bo perhaps. And who knows, maybe that deleted scene from Annihilation that featured Quan Chi was an event that did happen, but then Kung Lao rewound time to make sure Quan Chi and Shinnok would never be a threat again. The other Threshold production, Defenders of the Realm, includes a version of MK95 in its backstory, but diverges after the tournament. The series includes pretty much everyone from the MK3 series, with Johnny Cage, Kung Lao, Jade and Sindel being the most notable absentees. And with this being a loose adaptation of MK3, Sindel's absence is particularly odd, presumably intended for a Season 2 that never happened. So, in my mind, this is Sindel's timeline. This explains her absence from the story most heavily impacted by her presence, removing herself from the board to keep Khan from using her as a pawn like he does in most timelines. It also explains why Kitana has 2 mentor figures in her backstory as replacement parental figures, why so many episodes revolve around her, and why she alone has a brand new design not lifted from MK2 or 3, which now carries heavy "you're not going out in that outfit, young lady" energy. Jade would probably do the same things, but it's funnier if it's Sindel. And as for why Sindel is trying to make a timeline that's good for Kitana if this would presumably be the MK11 version of Sindel, I guess either looking back over past timelines awakened her latent maternal instincts and she decided to become the mother that Kitana always thought she was, or we acknowledge that even with the retcon Sindel was still mind controlled in MK9, X and Part of 11, and say that she's still brainwashed even after being restored from Revenant. And then she snapped out of it after she and Khan killed Kronika, and then she disposed of him as well. The Malibu comics are another one I have a solid idea for. This timeline was forged by Serena. I know she wasn't in MK11 to get a shot at Kronika, but neither was Havoc, so suck my bumhole. The Malibu comic, uniquely, has Bi-Han survive the tournament and continue into the MK2 adjacent arc. Serena's mythology's history with Bi-Han was still in play by MKX, so I see her wanting to create a timeline that benefits him. She removes Shinnok and Quan Chi from play like Liu Kang tried to, hence them not appearing, and sets up Bi-Han as the hero of the realms. She creates Hydro, Bi-Han's partner, so he can die by Scorpion's hand at the tournament in his place. And the plan works. For a while. Bi-Han goes on to fight for Earthrealm in Shao Kahn's challenge in Tournament Edition 2, where he obtains the medallion that determines the victor and is immolated by Scorpion as he does so, dying nobly to save Earthrealm. And isn't it convenient that these two should meet here at this place? That Scorpion knew Sub-Zero would be the one to make it here first. Call it coincidence, call it destiny, or perhaps call it outside interference. What if a Quan Chi from another timeline interferes in Serena's design, assisting Scorpion to destroy Serena's champion? This adds new weight to the debut of Kuai Liang at the end of that same issue, the last chronological event in this continuity, as he is now framed as Serena's new champion, taking up his brother's task to eliminate the corruption within the Lin Kuei, and later to join Serena in eliminating this other reality's Quan Chi, avenging his brother and Serena as he does so. The Jeff Roven novel strikes me as a Takeda joint. That may seem random, but it's the version that draws most on real-life Asian mythologies, and with Takeda being a mix of several cultures between Europe and Asia, this seems like something he might be interested in. Plus, Scorpion here is a Korean man, as if Takeda removed Hanzo and his family from the main stage, letting them live in peace while this other man ends up stuck with Hanzo's destiny, similar to my take on Hydro just now. I don't know why Takeda would have Johnny Cage not get involved in the tournament, but he is a fan, so maybe he just wants Johnny to focus on his career, with plans to introduce him to Sonya as a military consultant down the line. I mean, her fiancé just died, so she's single again. The Journey Begins has very little material to it, covering the equivalent of the first act of MK95, with few notable deviations from the norm. So unless we say that this is the same universe as Defenders of the Realm, we have some work to do. Liu Kang once again descends from Kung Lao, who outright sports modern Lao's MK2 look. This points towards it being another Kung Lao timeline, but I want each of these to have a unique creator, so let's look elsewhere. Goro had an older brother who would have been first in line for the throne until Goro killed him. And with modern Kung Lao missing, a man with a personal beef with the main Shokan prince, the changes to this reality seem oddly Shokan focused. And who is the most focused on the Shokan as a race? Why, the race supremacist herself, Shiva. Shiva would want her people to have a great ruler in her absence, but Goro was humiliated by Kotal and then became a threat to all the realms according to her intros. So she created an older brother who could take the throne in his place, or perhaps guide him to be better. But his soft spot for his brother led Jurok to his demise. Shiva then chose to stop the Kung lineage from continuing, perhaps concluding that Goro's loss to Kung Lao in MK9 was the start of his descent, only for the bloodline to continue into Liu Kang. The effect of a headcanon I have about timeline changes influencing other timelines to explain why every Shao has horns, why every reptile is a shapeshifter, why every Liu Kang seems to be a god, or why Havoc made the same changes to Sector, Cyrax and Scorpion. Kung Lao's changes influence Shiva's timeline as an allegory for the movie itself, influencing the animated special. And so, even if Kung Lao doesn't exist in Shiva's timeline yet, he still has influence there. Shaolin Monks, to me, is Kung Jin's ideal universe. He idolized Kung Lao, and their family lost everything when he died in Outworld. So, Jin chose to give Lao a chance to not only survive the tournament, but to be the hero alongside Liu Kang, destroying the man who should have killed him here and saving the realms from Shao forever. Maybe Jin's absence somehow caused Lao to inherit some of his cousin's attitude as well. And Reptile's death is so brutal because Jin wants to avenge his boy almost getting blinded by that no-good dirty rat. Rebirth is a world with no magic or other realms, a simplified, normal world without all the crazy hijinks that overwhelm the normies early on. This timeline then was forged by Stryker, who has left Jax and Sonya to take his place in the police and deal with the bad guys who are now just mortal men with mental illnesses. Hell, maybe things go poorly for Johnny because Stryker isn't a fan of his movies. Legacy's most notable change is probably the corruption of Liu Kang, turned to the dark side by the death of his girlfriend and the lack of responsibility seen in the people in power in Earthrealm. This suggests a villainous origin for this timeline. I'd say Shang Tsung if not for his Bi-Han being alive as Sub-Zero despite his death in Season 2. So we must ask, what is to be gained by turning Liu Kang into a warrior helping Shao Kahn to conquer Earthrealm? Who would benefit from that while not being involved in the plot here? Shinnok wanted to merge the realms and restore the One Being as per MKX. Perhaps he was given a new body by someone in one version of events, helping him to overthrow his mother and craft a reality where he can watch Liu Kang help Kahn to unwittingly revive the One Being and return all to nothingness. But then, based on what we see in leaks footage from the unreleased sequel MK Generations, perhaps Johnny Cage once again rose to prominence and saved the realms from Shinnok's plots, while paving the way for his daughter to take centre stage. MK vs DC Universe begins as a world like the Midway timeline, but it starts to merge with the DC Universe soon after MK3. I cannot imagine what character would want that to happen, but perhaps it's a coincidence, and they're only responsible for the initial setup. Character absences can be justified as them being the Titan, except Johnny and Goro, who are seen disappearing in John Tobias' prequel comic. Unless, of course, we need an explanation for why the Timekeeper doesn't get involved to stop this and get everyone on the same page. Perhaps then, it was Johnny Cage, his influence unwittingly causing the DCU to be pulled in, only for him to be Dark Raiden before he could do anything to stop it. And maybe this Purpley Denian in that same comic is Melina, recast as Kitana's ally by Johnny, only for her to meet her MK2 fate a little later despite his best efforts. The Gav-Verse is tricky to say definitively as of now, since it's still an ongoing setting, so we don't really know who's going to be left out entirely yet. Still, it seems to have been set up by someone who wants Scorpion to survive, moving his family back in time by 4 centuries in hopes of keeping them safe, and giving Hanzo and Harumi a second child as a backup plan. I'm going to assume this is Kuai Liang's timeline, as we have no word on him appearing in the sequel yet, despite Bi-Han returning as Noob Saibot. Despite his best efforts, Hanzo and his family still died, but Kuai Liang was able to dispatch Raiden to find the daughter to ensure the Hasashi bloodline would continue. I imagine the Arcana was something Kuai Liang devised to curb the number of strong fighters opposing Earth's forces. Unless it's purely an Earthrealm thing, in which case, this is the timeline of a villain trying to weaken Earthrealm. Perhaps it's Quan Chi setting up Bi-Han as an immortal villain for his entertainment while ridding the realms of Scorpion centuries early, or so he thinks. One day, Cole will learn of Quan Chi's secret divinity and work with his ancestor to end the Sorcerer for good and reboot the timeline. As for Legends, Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of the Realms make MK2 the climax of the setting, potentially indicating some significance to that fact. The most significant absentee has got to be Melina, swapped out for Li Mei, Reiko and Devora. Does she have a motive for ruining Shao's ambitions? Well, if she can observe prior timelines, she'd see how Shao took the throne back from her in Armageddon, just as she was awakening to her ambitions. And then she'd see scenarios where Shao wins, resulting in either his boredom-driven madness or the destruction of everything. She understands, thanks in part to frustrations born from his taking back the throne, that he is objectively bad for the universe. So she orchestrates a new champion she thinks could best him, Scorpion. If all arcade endings are canon to some Chronica timeline or other, then Scorpion is proven to be able to best Onaga, a being Shao had to poison into invalidity to overthrow. She rests her hopes on him to win the tournament and then slay Shao. But Destiny fights her on this, diverting Scorpion with the amulet plot, forcing Liu Kang to step up and best Shao. Who knows, maybe the amulet plot was instigated by an invader set on ruining this timeline. Perhaps another Shao who needs his head kicked in. And yeah, she probably pulled Tanya out to join her, like Liu Kang and Kitana in the good ending. Snowblind is confirmed to be a timeline Kano created within the film itself, so let's move on. Cage Match, to me, is the work of mocap. Given his time working with Johnny in past timelines, he likely has at least some affinity for classic movies, looking about the age to have grown up in the 80s. So he gives Johnny his own real-life 80s action romp to live out, while a version of Chuck takes up the mantle of mocap in this reality. And, of course, anyone destined to become mocap has got to have mad riz. And as for Onslaught, the weird amalgamation of MK11's two timeframes, this feels to me like Kronika's new era. You may ask why Raiden and Liu Kang are still around then. To that I say, she obviously can't stop them from existing, or she simply would have long ago. She already knew going into MK11 that they were the only two who could stop her, and yet it's only now she's saying that she's going to erase them? No, she just can't do it. This is the best she can do. This is her merging both timeframes into one, setting Cetrion as the lead Elder God and Shinnok as the main villain, with artifacts ready for him to claim to even the odds and create his mother's balance. And Liu Kang even has far less prominence now, as punishment for his defiance last time. But once again, Kronika's schemes are foiled by Shang Tsung and Raiden, who eliminate her two children. Raiden's uncomfortable feeling that something else is on the horizon is about Kronika, once again feeling deja vu over events of past timelines, and now he and the sorcerers will need to work together if they are to successfully overthrow the Mad Titan this go around. As for the Chronicle stories, there really isn't enough there to be able to make an educated guess, except for M1K Scorpion who, as I discussed in a previous video, is most likely from the other Titan Liu Kang's timeline. And to cap things off, let's look back at that list of Raidens and consider MK1 Raiden, as in the Raiden who isn't the protector of Earthrealm from MK1, back when Outworld was not a factor in the tournament, when Shang Tsung was the pinnacle of the threat posed by the tournament. Who would just devalue Outworld's presence like this? You know what? Fujin did this. He devalued Shao and Onaga, leading to Outworld being just a random realm without much interaction with Earthrealm. And without the need for a protector, Raiden was never forced to try and understand the mortals and thus never learned to love them. He became arrogant, his defeat of Shinnok being his most prominent achievement and purpose, and without his brother there to temper this character flaw, he became no better than his corrupted selves, or the Elder Gods. And now, Fujin must stop his former brother from winning the tournament and destroying the Earth. And with that, we've identified all the secret titans that have been guiding MK's spin-off universes for the last 3 decades. And I'd like to close out with one last little headcanon surrounding these spin-off timelines. DCU Raiden appears in that Invasions ending, so I'm left to wonder if Peacemaker in M1K could be from that version of the DC universe, and his ending begins in that universe, Shao having escaped the Phantom Zone and recruited DC villains like Eclipso, while making his move to conquer the DCU. Chris then winds up going on a quest across several other MK timelines, acquiring knowledge of how Shao fights across various timelines, before returning home and slaying the Emperor to liberate the titular DC universe.
I am your realm savior!
Nah, dude. You're just a dick.
If you liked this video, why not subscribe and support me on Patreon like these fine people here? If not, then make sure to share it with your enemies so they can suffer along with you. Today's recommended video is Mortal Kombat 1, the huge multiverse problem with the series by History Behind the Warrior. As fun as today's thought experiment was, I'd rather they've not done the multiverse, to be honest.